Okay, so chari, chuni. Okay, let's just do a quick warm up. So rotate the arms forwards and backwards. And one up, one down. Just getting the shoulders working. And then from here, opposite directions. Good luck with that one. And change direction. And reaching up. Really squeeze those shoulder blades up and forwards. Open them up behind. Squeeze the chest and back. And squeeze those shoulder blades forwards, backwards towards each other. Open up the chest. And shut. Okay, just rotating the waist. Change direction. And 2.5 shoulder widths. We're going to go one to the right, one to the left. And reaching down, one each side. That's good. Try not to lean forwards. And turning to your right or left. You can either go with the right side if I'm going to my left, go with the left side if I'm going to the right, so you're just mirroring, or you can do either leg, it's up to you. I'm not there to check, see whether you're doing it right or wrong. And change. So just pushing so you're getting this stretch across from the hip flexor. And again, change. Push. Pushing the rear leg down as well. And again, change. And shut. Okay, just one shoulder width wide, one to the left or right heel. And reaching down, bending the other knee slightly as far as you can. And then coming up again and change. Reach and change. Reach and change. Reach and change. And change. Good. Just grab hold of your ankles. And change. And again, change. Just do a couple more. And change. Right, good. Just shake your legs out. And then just go about 2.5 shoulder widths, hands down. And I'm just going to reach to your left or your right. And change. Other side, keeping one hand on the floor. And again, change. And again, change. And just stretch out a little bit more. This time, elbows down. And again, change. Change again, just keeping it a bit dynamic. And one more to the center. And shut. Slowly stand up. Good. Shake your legs. Okay, let's do a few leg raise. Parallel stance. Jimmy. So taking your left leg back, walking ready stance. Again, if you want to do your left or your right, it's entirely up to you. If you want to mirror me, we'll do the same. And ha. Two. Set. Net. Dos. Yellow. Yellow. Ayo. Yellow. And change. Ha. And again. Ha. Two. Set. Net. Dos. Yes. Yellow. Yellow. Ayo. Yellow. And paro. Sure. Let's go. Sitting stance punch. Chimney. Single punch. Ha. Two. Set. Net. Dos. Yes. Yellow. Yellow. Ayo. Yellow. Now 2 punches. Ha. Two. Set. Net. Dos. Yellow. and paro. Sure, good. Okay, so we're going to start with Chongji, and we've already been doing walking stance punch, low block, in forward directional punch, forward directional block. So I think the only new move, not really that move, sorry, middle in the front block in our stance. Let's just have a look at that. So parallel stance, Jimmy. So if you've got enough space to maybe go 3 steps or 2 steps, if you get to the end by the time I shout 3, then just stop your stance, and then we're going to go back 1 or 2, 3 steps. Okay, Jimmy. Step forward with your left, middle and front block. 1, 2, backwards, 2, set, and paro. Let's just do a few spot techniques so that maybe we can look at the technique and the stance. So from parallel ready stance, we're just going to go to the left or your right, middle inner forearm block, come from the underneath or the outside, and L stance. Now this L stance, it's quite easy that we can bring this foot in here because we're thinking about this motion. So what happens here is this leg caves in. So we've got to understand when we're doing Taekwondo, we're looking at sine wave. So we've got to make sure we drop the body. So this knee stays out. You should have almost a straight front leg. The back knee, this inside of the knee joint should come straight up level with the side of the hip here. Knee over the toes, 70-30 weight distribution. Both of the feet 15 degrees, only 2.5 centimeter gap between the feet. So if I'm standing this way, if you see this little gap here, into this position here, okay? Let's try that. Jimmy, so we're gonna go spot technique to the right, spot technique to the left. Ready? So go to the right first. Now to your left. Okay, a couple of things to remember. When you're doing that middle inner forearm block, top of the fist should be level with the shoulder. The inner forearm, this is your inner forearm, you should know that by now, should be in line with the inside of your shoulder joint here. So that's where we finish. We don't, like some people think, finish level with the side of the body, because then you're exposing yourself to what you just blocked. We always have to think of, even after we've done the block, we've got to think of defense, okay? So when you finish in this position, you should be finished just inside the shoulder, okay? So let's just do a few of those stepping forwards. Sorry, on the spot, 1 forward, 1 back. So step forward with your left. So I'm going to do it as if I was teaching you, so I'm going to mirror you. So left leg forwards, middle, inner front block. Paro. And the right. 2. Paro. And your left. Paro. One more on your right. Paro. Okay. So Chongji Tur. You got walking stance punch, obverse punch. You got an L stance, middle in the forearm block, and you've got a walking stance low outer forearm block. Okay, so you've already done walking stance punch, walking stance low outer forearm block, in forward directional punch, forward directional block. Okay, so with the forward directional block, you would have done, forward directional punch, you would have done your outer forearm low block. Forward directional block, you would have done knife hand low block. Forward directional block, you would have done your middle forearm block in walking stance, and obviously forward directional punch, you would have done your middle obverse punch. Okay. So the other thing to think of when we're learning Chongji is what we do a backward step turn. Okay. Now, backward step turn, we've got to understand we don't always turn one way. We can turn another way. It all depends on the particular block that we're doing. So if we're doing an obverse block, we can only turn one way. Because General Che always said, if we're turning, so if I'm facing this way, and I come round to do a low block, I'm coming straight onto the technique. If there's a low front snap kick coming towards me, I can turn, I can see the kick, and I can go straight onto the block, okay? If I turn the other way, if I come around this way, and the front snap kick's coming at me, I've got to go past the attack first before I do the block. And what could happen there? As we come round, we're leaving ourselves exposed and we could get hit or attacked. So we have to understand which way we turn. However, that's not for us to do today. We're just going to do the backward step turn that we need for most of your patterns. It's not until you get to Sosan that you're actually turning maybe a slightly different way to do a particular block, but even then, it's still a logical movement, okay? So we won't touch that now. Maybe that will be a tutorial or a live stream video where we can really work on our spot turning, our step turning, our double step turning, and so on. Maybe that would be a great tool to have on here as a video where you can keep going back to it, Maybe we'll make some of them public so that you can come back to the channel, look over that, what we're doing, and you can keep practicing at home, okay? Okay, so let's go on to Dangan. So for those who recently passed through yellow belt, and not just yellow belts, but everybody, okay? Because remember, even as a master, we've still got to practice Sajijugi, Sajanaki, Chongji all the way through. We still have to practice fundamental movements from all of the patterns, okay? Now, you know, this sort of thing here where I'm being watched and scrutinized, you know, you're probably going to see, obviously, some mistakes from me. None of us are perfect. We can't be perfect. I'm still training. I'm still trying. I'm still trying to get better. So this is also a good tool for me because I can watch this back, see where I'm going wrong, and obviously I can get better as we go. So yellow belts, Dangan. So new techniques for Dangan. If we think of right from the beginning of the pattern, it would be L stance, knife hand guard and block, okay? And we're learning now a high punch instead of a middle punch. And we're doing a rising block. We are doing a knife and strike in L stance, and we're doing a twin forearm block. Now, as far as the knife and strike is concerned, it's in L stance. And when we move into Dosan, then you go into a sitting stance. So let's move up from there. Let's have a look at knife and guard and block. Now, as a fundamental exercise, we've been doing forearm guard and block since you were probably a white belt, yellow stripe, so that we can do the kicks from that position. Because that position is a nice position to just come straight forward with that front snap kick. Okay? So, if you want to go with me, parallel ready stance to me. And if you've just joined us, just try and warm up as we go, if you are joining in. We go from parallel ready stance to me. So let's just do a couple forwards and then we'll look at it from side to side. So L stance, knife hand guarding block. So swinging both arms, 45 degrees and coming down. This hand, level with the chest, okay? Not touching the body, slight gap. And this one, exactly the same as if you were doing an outer forearm or an inner forearm, okay? Except using a knife hand, so it has to be slightly lower. So forearm, outer forearm will be here, inner forearm here, knife hand, we have to lower it so the top of the fingers go level with the shoulder, okay? But things to remember, swinging those arms back and forwards together, swinging them back and forwards together, swinging them back and forwards together, swinging them back and forwards together, okay? Now, yellow belts, yellow stripes, yellow belts, green stripes. Don't worry about your hands in between the techniques. It can be a knife hand all the way through. A knife hand all the way through. When we reach to green belt, blue stripe and above, we've got to start thinking about relaxation. Trying to generate as much power as we can. And we should know that speed is power with the mass. The more speed, the more power. And to get more speed, we have to be relaxed, okay? So green belts and above, instead of having a knife hand to start. So from here, instead of having this knife hand, we can have a relaxed fist, so a loose fist. And as we go into the technique, we perform the knife hand, okay? So that would be for green belts and above, trying to understand that, trying to work with that and see how you go. If not, it's not a problem, but obviously as we get higher through black belt level, it's a must. Okay, so parallel ready stance, 2D. So So we're just going to go to the right and to your left. So from here, we're going to swing the arms up one. So you'll see I'm going to go into a relaxed fist because obviously from my grade. And then we're going to go into a knife hand guiding block. And then we're going to come back and we're going to go to your left. Okay? Okay, Chili. Let's do a few of those. Ready? And to your right. To your left. To your right. To your left. To your right. To your left. To your right. And okay, let's do a few of those forwards and backwards. So give yourself that space. And don't forget, make sure you have got enough space around you. Okay? Don't want you knocking anything over. Lovely day. Hopefully you're out in your garden if you've got your mobile phone, if that's possible. If not, just be careful. So find yourself some space. Maybe let's go 3 steps to me. So right leg forward, left leg forward first. Ready? And 1, 2, set. Backwards. 2, set. And paro. Everybody got that? Fantastic. Okay. So the next technique for yellow belts, learning Dangan, is your high punch. Now we have to understand that we have different sections of the body, but we have different sections of the body as far as we're concerned as the practitioner, and we have different sections of the body as far as if we have an opponent as to know where to attack and how to do our technique. Now when we do patterns, obviously we have imaginary opponents, okay? So we don't actually have opponents when we're doing patterns. So when we do patterns, we talk about what we're doing as the practitioner. So when we're looking at attacking, if we're looking at hands attack, then a low punch would be led with your umbilicus, your belly button, okay? A middle punch will be led with your own shoulders. And a high punch will be led with your own eyes, okay? So if I was to do from here and I was going to do an old breath punch, and I'm punching here, this would be a low punch. If I'm punching here, this will be a middle punch. If I'm punching here, this will be a high punch. When we're talking about having an opponent, so if we were doing self-defense or one-step sparring or free sparring or self-defense, actual combat, we would be talking about attacking the high section or the middle section or the low section. And don't forget, high section is anywhere above the shoulders. So it's the whole of their head. Doesn't have to just be the front, could be the sides and the back. Middle section is from the shoulders to the umbilicus. So anywhere, and even if the arms fall in that category, then you can still attack the humerus, the elbow joint, the shoulder joint, which will also be classed as middle section if you're looking at your opponent. And anywhere from the umbilicus down to the floor, down to the toes is low section. So we'd be attacking the legs, the femur, the tibia, the fibula, or the feet. Okay? So when we do pattern Dangan, we're going to do a high punch, and that high punch is level with the eyes. Okay? So part already starts to me. So a punch is a punch. You've been doing a punch for a long time. You've been doing a middle and obverse punch. Some of you have been doing a middle reverse punch. Now we're going to do a high obverse punch. Okay? Okay, let's do a few of those. So from this position, we're going to step forward with your right first, high punch, then we're going to come back, and then the left, and then come back. Chumbi. And ha. Haru. Two. Haru. Set. Haru. Net. Haru. Dosen. Haru. Yosen. Haru. Ego. Haru. Yede. Haru. Ayo. Haru. Yede. And haru. Sha. Good. So just one thing to double check on your walking stance. Sometimes we can think of going forward when we're punching, so much so that this knee bends too much. So that's one error. Sometimes we don't lock this rear leg. Okay, so we've got to make sure that we push the hip and push and lock the leg. So locking the leg actually aids pushing the hip. Okay, so when you're doing your walking stance, don't forget one shoulder width wide. Okay, from the inside of the front foot, so through the center of the front foot, through the center of the rear foot. So if you were to draw a line through the center of your front foot, not the outside and not the inside. And if you think of this foot is the back foot in a walking stance, you would draw a line through the center of this foot, not on the inside or the outside. So it's one shoulder width through the center of those feet. So that means there's going to be half of the width of your foot on the outside of your shoulder and half of the width of your foot slightly on the inside of your shoulder. Same with the rear. Okay, so your sort of half of your foot, which would be more towards your toes, will be on the outside of your shoulder here, and then your heel will be on the inside of your shoulder. Okay, that's just to give us that little bit of stability. All right, now with that front knee, remember the front knee, the kneecap should form a vertical line at the back of the heel here. Okay, the back leg should be nice and straight, locked, pushing, feeling the stretch across your hip flexors. Now from this position, when you look down the leg, you should be able to see all the way down your thigh and all the way down your shin, all the way to your toes. Okay, so just a little bit of a recap on your walking stance. When we're stepping, any pattern that we're doing, any fundamentals that we're doing, we will come to the center line and then back to the shoulder line, to the center line and back to the shoulder line. Okay, that's one thing that sometimes we tend to miss off. Sometimes we'll step forward either going in a straight line this way because we're worried about keeping our stances wide enough, or we'll come straight back this way and we won't have any width on our stance whatsoever. So that's something to really focus on. Try and really focus on your stances. Getting the width. It's better to have a wider walking stance than a narrow walking stance. Okay? Something to remember. So that's the walking stance high punch. And again, you can keep practicing that. You can work on your stances. You can get a ruler out if you want to. You can get a piece of string. You can measure those shoulders. You can measure the width. And then the length is 1.5 shoulder widths long. That's just a guide, just to measure. That's measured from the toes to toes. Okay, so the length, 1.5 shoulder widths long, will be measured from the toes to the toes. Okay, so quick recap, walking stance. 1 shoulder width wide through the center of the feet. 1.5 shoulder widths long between the toes. Everybody got that? Fantastic. Okay, next movement. So we've done our knife and guiding block. We've done our walking stance, high punch. The next new movement, which is a bit tricky, is the twin forearm block, Sang Palmok Maki. So basically, we're going to be doing L stance, and all we're doing is a middle outer forearm block and a rising block. Okay? But let's do the middle outer forearm block first. Maybe do 10 of those on each leg, on each arm, and then we'll start doing the twin forearm block. Okay? Because up till now, if you are a yellow belt, up till now you would have mainly focused on this inner forearm block here, whether it be in a walking stance, whether it be middle inner forearm block, reverse punch, whether it be in L stance, but you focused on this inner forearm block. So if we then are expected to just go straight into a twin forearm block whilst using the outer forearm here, it's no wonder people come in and do inner forearm block here, because this is what your body's used to. And remember, we build up muscle memory when we're doing our techniques over and over and over again. So let's do a few middle outer forearm blocks. Okay, so to me, so stepping forward with your left, crossing as if you're going to do a low block. But instead of doing a low block, we're going to bring it out again, the outer forearm in line with the inside of the shoulder joint here. You do not finish it level here, because look, you've now exposed everything that you were trying to defend Here, we're still covering the technique. Okay? So let's try. 준비. So same position. On top, the right. 하나. 바로. And the left. 하나. 바로. And the right. 하나. 바로. 둘. 바로. 셋. 바로. 넷. 바로. 다섯. 바로. 여섯. 바로. 일곱. 바로. 여덟. 바로. 아홉. 바로. 열. 바로. So from the side, middle and forearm block from here. 1, 2. Okay? So instead of inner forearm, outer forearm. So if you're going to do inner forearm, coming from underneath, both palms face away, and you're going to twist. Outer forearm, blocking arm on top. Now the blocking arm, your palm faces towards you. This is the same because this does the same thing. Okay? Outer forearm block. Let's do a few to your right and to your left. 준비. So let's go to the right. Ready? 하나. 바로. To your left. 하나. 바로. To your right. 하나. 바로. To your left. 하나. 바로. Okay. Now, let's look at Chukumaki, rising block. So before we go into that twin forearm block, let's just quickly look at a walking stance rising block first. So we're going to lift the arm up this way, and then we can put that into the twin forearm block. Okay? So stepping forward with your left leg, blocking arm on top. Now, instead of coming from the chest, like you would if you were going to do a low block, we're going to come from the rib cage so that we can still either block an attack coming down on the top of our head, or we can block an attack coming to the face. If we started here, it's going to be very difficult to block an attack coming to your face. If we're starting from the rib cage, we've got all of this movement where we can block either here or here. Okay? To me. So left leg from there, 1 this way, and 2. And come back. And again, now going forward with your right leg, 1, 2, and back. Let's do a few of those. Ready? So left leg, 하나, 바로. Right leg, 하나, 바로. Left leg, 하나, 바로. Right leg, 하나, 바로. Left leg, 하나, 바로. Right leg, 하나, 바로. One more thing to remember on the rising block is you start from the rib cage, but the cross must travel to the chest before it parts. Or else, if we come from here and we now do this, you're looking from the side, look at all of this movement that we have here, and only a tiny bit of movement here. So now we're going to have a bit of an imbalance. Either this is going to finish before this, or you've got to try and time it where this goes faster than the reaction. So try and remember, from the ribs up to the chest before you part that cross. Okay? So that's our rising block. Okay? So let's do a few of those forwards and backwards. So give yourself that space. Ready? The left leg. Ready? 하나, 둘, 셋, backwards. 하나, 둘, and 바로. So do you notice it comes from the opposite side to what arm I'm using? Okay? So if I'm stepping forwards with my left, I'm going to bring the cross over to my right side. Okay? Or your right side. And then it's going to come up, and the outer forearm finishes right in the center. Okay? Right in the center. Excellent. If you do have any questions regarding any of these techniques, because obviously this isn't interactive, please email them, Put them on the Facebook page. Just any way you can get those questions to me, and I will ask. Just reference it to the video recording or the YouTube video of the 9th to 5th cut fundamentals, and then I'll try and answer those questions. Okay, but I know what technique is, so that's great. Okay, let's have a look at the twin forearm block. Okay, to me. So we're going to go forward with your left leg. You're going to cross in front of the rib cage because we're having to do a rising and the middle block. Okay, so from this position, we're going to lift, and the rising block keeps coming up, and the outer forearm block keeps coming out as well. So this finishing level with the top of the shoulder, outer forearm finishing level with the inside of the shoulder joint, and the outer forearm above your head, almost about 7 centimeters away from your forehead when you're looking at it. When you look this way, so if I come from this side, from this position, if I'm doing that rising block, when I look this way, the outer forearm here should go straight into the center of your head, center of your face. And if I'm looking this way, this should be level with the front of your face here. Outer forearm here, elbow slightly more than 90 degrees. Okay, let's do a few of those. To me. So let's do a few spot techniques. We're going to go to the right and to the left. To me. So to the right. Ready? Hana. One. Haro. To your left. Hana. Haro. To your right. Hana. Haro. To your left. Hana. Haro. To your right. Hana. Haro. To your left. Hana. And haro. Shot. Let's do a few forwards and backwards. So give yourself that space to me. So coming forward with the left leg. Ready? Hana. 1, 2. Set. Backwards. Hana. 2. Set. And haro. And again, you can practice as many as you want, forwards and backwards. Give yourself that space. If you want to go out to the garden and continue to practice one particular technique, because we want to get that muscle memory, so it's easier to learn the pattern if we've got the fundamental movements. We haven't got to think about it. We've got the move. We just got to put all the pattern together. Okay. We've got 10 minutes left of our 45-minute session. Let's see. Low block, rising block. Okay, for Pratandanga. So we're going to do our low block, which we've already done in motion. Okay, so from this position, let's go forward with your left leg into a low block. 1. Now, to do the rising block, we just got to come to this position where we would have been if we were just going to do a rising block, stepping forward. But at the same time, we have to just slightly dip. And then as we lift the body up, the arms don't really move. And then as we bring the body down, we're now doing that rising block. Okay? So from this position, let's just do the low block again. Hana. Now to the rising. 2. And haro. Let's try the right leg. 1. Hana. And 1, 2, 3. Ready? Just a low block. Hana. And 1, 2. Haro. So you see from the side, we're doing our low block. And then we go from here. 1, 2, 3. So we go from the low, rising. From the low to the rising block. From the low to the rising block. Now, trying to put those two techniques together is what we call a continuous motion. Now, listen. Continuous motion is when we've got 2 blocks or 2 techniques. The first one doesn't stop before we start the next one. It must complete, but it doesn't stop. We don't stop the whole body. We continue it through that movement straight into the next movement. Okay? So if I'm going to do that low block, rising block in a continuous motion, just watch. So I'm going to go from here. 1, 2. So you see, it didn't stop and then start again. Okay? It went 1, 2. So with the breath, we have one breath in, and then we have 2 accentuations of breath as we do those 2 techniques. And we have 1, and then we have to start the sine wave again. So from this position, we go 1, down, up, down. But be careful when we say down, up, down. It's more of a dip than a down. Okay? We don't want to go down too far. We just got to create some sort of opposite direction, is what General Che used to say. So from this position, if I'm going from the side, we're going. You see? So there's 2 accentuations of breath on each technique. So 1 breath per technique, but it doesn't stop. It doesn't go. It goes. Okay, let's have a practice. To me. So from this position, we're going to go forward to the left leg. Let's just do the low block. Ready? 1. Now the rising. 2. Come back. Now we're going to do the continuous motion. Ready? Oh. Let's try the right leg. Just 1. Now the rising. 2. Now we're going to go 1 and 2. Ready? Very good. And let's do the left leg. Right leg. Let's do 5. Ready? 2. Set. Net. 2. Ansha. Good. Excellent. Okay. Done. Next movement. So we've done knife and gun block. We've done a walking stance high punch. We've done L stance twin forearm block. We've done walking stance low block, rising block in a continuous motion. Now, you now have this. Hopefully if the recording's worked and we can get it on YouTube, then you've got this set in stone. You can go back to it and look to see what that continuous motion is. 2 moves. You don't stop the first one. It continues into the second, but must complete, creating 2 sine waves and 2 exhalations of breath. Okay, so we don't breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. We breathe in, we breathe out and out. Okay, so hopefully everybody's sort of getting the understanding of continuous motion. Next technique for Patha Dangan. Let's look at, just before we finish, L stance, knife hand strike. Okay? And then I'll just give you a little bit of a glimpse of some of the movements that we could build up and how you could build it up, and how we're going to try and build the patterns up on these either live streams or videos without too much space. We're just going to try and build it up. Maybe 3 moves, come back, and then 6 moves, come back. But we do the 3 moves, and then we do the next 3, but not after the first 3. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Okay? So, L stance, knife and strike. So from this position, you're going to step forward with your right leg. Now, the reason we're going forward with the right leg now is because we're doing an attack. Just to slip that in there, remembering when we're doing fundamental exercises or fundamental movements, we always block with the left side first, and we always attack with the right side first, unless stated otherwise. Now, obviously, the instructor of any particular dojang, they could decide for you to go forwards, blocking with your right if they wanted to, attacking with your left if you wanted to. But if there's no description, then you would attack with your right first. You would block with your left first. Okay? So in other words, if the instructor says, parallel stance, chumbi, stepping forward, walking stance, middle, obverse punch. That's all that they would have to say. You would know to step forwards with your right and do a right punch. Okay? And the same applies for the block. So when we're doing a strike, it's an attack. A knife hand strike, we're using the knife hand. Now, I will do another tutorial on all the different parts of the body, the attacking tools, the blocking tools. We'll try and go through those in Korean as well. So again, you'll have this on a video, or we will have this on video, and we can revert to it, we can look at it, we can study it, we can pick up on all those different points that we're making throughout this period. And for me, just to touch on that quickly, I know I'm digressing, but this is a good thing. This is the good thing about this situation. We're having these sessions, we're having the ability to record some of this information for you to go back to at a later date. Okay, quickly, we've got 5 minutes left. We're going to do Nyunjiso, L stance, Bakuro Sonkai Tregi, which is outward knife hand side strike. So from this position, we're going to go forward with the right leg first. The striking arm comes from on top. Now the palm faces towards you. This is the same, remember? This doesn't change because it's doing the same thing. Okay? On top. Maybe the cross, maybe level with your neck. So as we strike, the striking arm of the tool comes and finishes slightly below the shoulder, or maybe level with your armpit. And what we're doing there is we're showing that the idea of Taekwondo is to use gravity. So if we're going up this way, we're going to oppose gravity and it's going to have less power. Now, there may be a time where we have to go up. If we're going to do a high strike, then we've got to go slightly higher. Then we don't want to start here because we're leaving ourselves open. Okay? But generally speaking, when we do a knife and strike, the middle knife and strike, we finish the strike, the tool, just level with the armpit. So if I'm here, I won't be here, I'm going to be here. So you see that line that's going slightly down from my shoulder to my knife hand. Okay? Okay, Chuli, let's have a go. So let's step forward to the right leg. 1 and 2. Horo. Let's go forward with the left. 1 and 2. Good. Horo. Ready? Right leg. Hana. Horo. Left. Hana. Horo. Right. Hana. Horo. Left. Hana. Horo. Right. Hana. Horo. Okay, let's do a few to the right and to the left. Chumi. Okay, to the right first from here and hana. Horo. To your left. Hana. Horo. To your right. Hana. Horo. To your left. Hana. Horo. To your right. Hana. Horo. And sha. Let's do a few forwards and backwards. Give yourself that space. Chili. Left leg forward. Hana. Two. Set. Backwards. Hana. Two. Horo. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Chayo. Kunyi. And thank you.